Hello and a very warm welcome to the ETEducation Leadership Studios in collaboration with Coursera. I'm Devina, Lason, and today we're going to deep dive into an intriguing discussion on advancing higher education curriculum to careers. Now, in this series, we delve into the transformative shifts reshaping higher education, from the rise of online learning and the growing importance of industry-recognized micro-credentials to the game-changing role of AI and tools like ChatGPT in teaching and learning, as well as the far-reaching impact on the future job markets. Joining us today to unravel these themes and explore how exactly universities serving lakhs of students annually tackle the challenge of producing industry-ready graduates, we have an esteemed panel of distinguished guests joining us. Without further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome today Dr. Ramachandran, Director, SRM Group; Dr. Kathiravan, Director, SRM Universities, Trichy and Ramapuram; and Prashasti, Rastogi, Director, Coursera for Campus. Right, to kickstart, a very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for being here on ET Studio. Such a pleasure to have you. Just to start by laying a foundation, I'd love to understand from each of your very unique perspectives where you see the Indian education system at today. Of course, there are rapid changes happening across the board, technology really being at the heart of driving innovation, driving change. Perhaps there are challenges associated as well. So just to get a bit of an understanding, where do you see the Indian education system as it stands today? And what are some of the key aspects that educators, anyone involved in the education systems should really be aware of when it comes to perfecting and advancing the higher education system? Dr. Ram, let's start with you.
Thank you. Indian education system have been always talking about skill enhancement for centuries together. It's not a new concept to India. There's been changes after the British rule, but now today, of late, we have realized that skill enhancement or skill enrichment.
Yes.
The third word that has been regularly coined and used is the lifelong learning. So these three terminologies today are playing a vital role in the education system in India. So the whole focus of the regulatory bodies is now towards how to make the youth, the Indian youth, more employable, career-oriented,
Yes, absolutely,
and successful in the global arena.
Yes.
Which we have been doing it successfully as SRM for the past few decades. So that's how it's evolving. And corporates is a very dynamic world. Whatever is happening yesterday, there's a change today. So technology is doing that disruption. So if students could be groomed accordingly, we are successful.
Yeah. Wonderful. We're going to deep dive into a lot of what you've already shared, but Doctor, let's get you in on this.
See, if you see the whole education system as a whole, geographically, the education system doesn't remain same across the globe. For example, if you take India, and we can't apply whatever the model that we have developed for US to India. Criticism of Indian education system is the narrative has been set like that Indian education system is not deploying the technology and they were at the back foot. But actually, it's not the fact. As I was, Ram was narrating that, after independence, we were colonized. The education system was entirely different. It has been accessed only to a particular section of the society. It was deprived for others. Now, post-independence, when the education system started nurturing itself, India was facing a lot of challenges. The challenge number one, you need three stakeholders for any education system. So you need an infrastructure, that is an investor, a kind of, or maybe a government or a private, and you need a student who should have the affordability of coming to a higher education system. The third one is teaching them. So if you see the old model in late 90s, from there on, we were using this chalk and talk model. Chalk and talk model, this was deployed in India, where to teach that, to make use of that chalk, we need human resources. Where that human resources come? See, if you see the Western countries, they are already developed and they have the people to make use of the chalk. But in India, we have to build on our own. We have to get educated first and we should educate others. Yes. So this model, it is taking its own time. But if you see the gross enrollment, see again in India, if you see the region wise, I'm very happy that SRM is part of South India building that ecosystem, that the gross enrollment ratio of Tamil Nadu is far higher than USA and China. So our gross enrollment ratio, we have beaten the Western country. Why this has happened? If you see the higher education model in Tamil Nadu, where even still today, the first graduate student, the first graduate are joining in a larger number thanks to the encouragement by the government. Now, if you go to North India, if they don't have that kind of facility. So the point is that accessibility to the education is much more important than what kind of education that we are going to give. Once a student into my system, I can educate them whatever I want to be. But the India is transforming its ways. Now the accessibility has been made thanks to the government policies, that there are many schemes have been introduced by state government and central government. Yes. And now the accessibility is reaching the downtrodden people. Yes. Because of that, the education, it is touching the bottom of the society. Next comes what technology we are going to use. Are they going to be employable? How they are going to be put into the system? And it goes on.
Yeah, but access, of course, is first and it's key. Wonderful. Prashasti, let's also get you in here because, of course, you have now the advantage of working with the whole cross-section of educational institutions across the country. So your perspective also will be quite diverse here. What are you seeing as some of the key trends in the educational space? Any kind of top one or two that educators out there should really be aware of?
Sure, thanks. Thanks for having me here. Education in India has a very beautiful problem statement, and typically tech startups love that problem statement, which is quality at scale. How do you ensure that the quality of learning delivered across multiple institutions for the 40 million students that Indian education system caters to is actually standardized and also applied? Indian education system has done brilliantly well when it comes to fundamental learning. The new education policy came in with the perspective that let's get more context in and let's train students on applied learning, because at the end of the day, industry is looking for professionals who can roll up the sleeves and do the jobs with the necessary skills they have. Which is why digital transformation of higher education or the education environment as a whole has become a reality. At Coursera, what we are observing is this is happening globally. So while faculty upskilling and faculty's focus on research is key, at the same time, agile curriculums are important. And agile curriculums with collaboration with industry are important. And deploying technology seamlessly into the classroom teaching learning experience is important. And this is what we see happening in India as well.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we're going to find out in a lot more detail how exactly this is panning out. So just to pick a few of the strains of what you're discussing, Doctor, so how do you really see this bridging of the skill gap? Because ultimately that's really what we're observing today, right? It's very important that students in the education system are adequately prepared for entering into the workforce, and educational institutions are focusing on this in many ways. So for example, online learning for credit, association with international educational institutions. How do you see this all coming together here in India?
2-3 factors. Number one, the regulatory bodies are encouraging the institutions to have more collaborations with corporates in terms of setting up of syllabus.
Okay.
For example, at SRF, we have something called as Corporate Advisory Board, where corporates, they come together pertaining to a particular discipline, say computer science engineering. We have companies from top-notch sector walk in and they discuss about how the curriculum has to be tuned for the students for the forthcoming semester. And then it passes through the regular Board of Studies, Academic Council and governing body. And they also pick and choose topics which they feel that they will do justice to the students instead of academicians teaching those concepts and theorems, and they handhold them.
Okay.
They handhold the students in terms of giving them internships and project work. So what we have done at SRM is every level we have corporates. That's number one. Number two, international collaborations. whether it's going to be with professional bodies or with universities, we are open. Now we have a good amount of student exchange programs, faculty exchange programs, and other things happening at very good level. For the past few years, I've been seeing at SRM more number of students aspiring for pursuing their higher studies or having a semester abroad. They do go. And thanks to the marketing of Indian education system today, we have foreign universities welcoming the Indian faculty members to teach a subject or a topic, whether it's going to be in person or online or hybrid, which is happening at a good pace. So this is leading to more number of research also simultaneously happening. And most importantly, to make our faculty members tuned to what is happening at corporate level, we do have something called as Faculty Industry Immersion Program. You'll be surprised to hear that, which is like an internship by the students with the corporates. We motivate our faculty members to attach with the corporates. Maybe a few days in an academic year, where they go work in the corporates and understand what is the changes that is happening. So it's easy for them to come back to the classrooms and teach the same thing to the students.
Sure, yeah.
So these are some of the things which is bridging the gap between corporates, international universities, and professional bodies.
Yeah, wonderful.
I hope this replies to
Yes,
your
absolutely. I mean, really exciting to hear the level of immersion that's happening today. Doctor, would you say again that the impact of online learning for credit or say micro-credentials is something you're seeing picking up in the Indian education space?
Yeah, see, SRM was the one in early days itself. We were the one we have introduced the online courses, which we have given credit also in our curriculum. Why SRM have taken this view? See, today the people are talking about an agile curriculum design. So what is the fundamental difference between this and the agile system and the conventional one which we already have? If you see take for example in engineering, why, what, where, when. These are the four things that would be addressed to any problem. A complex problem should be given in a simple term. That is the education system what SRM is trying to do. We are trying to teach them not the tool. We were trying to teach them how to use the tool. There is a difference between this, what is and how to use. See, we are trying to provide the whole system into an agile in the sense that we would like to give our student an experimental learning, an experience based learning. When the first talk of I was talking about the chalk and talk model. From there we are trying to coming to this agile model. But there is a fundamental, there is an issue while designing this agile system. For example, if we take a software development model, we call it as a waterfall model, where one module output will become an input to another module, and this goes. So without one module, the last module will not work. And suppose if you want to redefine or if you want to restructure the system, there is something called in software industry, we call it as a downtime. You have to down the software, you have to make the system to down, make changes in all the module, then make a deployment. So it takes time and the error also very high. Now this has been changed, now the software industry is moving towards the agile development. The same thing we are trying to incorporate in our education system, but the problem what we face is that without the science, without the proper understanding of how the nature behaves, it is very difficult for us to teach a student how to solve the problem. So we are trying to balance it out, making use of some of the waterfall model in the sense that one module output will become an input to another module. At the same time, wherever a student is given a chance of learning things on his own, for example, in an online model, where the student need not want to wait till the fourth year or third year to choose whatever the subject he like. We are permitting them to choose even the second semester and third semester. So suppose if a boy find out that this is important for him to study or he find interest. So those flexibility we try to give through this online courses, and SRM University have incorporated that, and we are very well put into our structure of our curriculum, and it's already get practiced. So the advantage is that the student are given the latest technology, whatever it is available. he can learn and he can build his resume.
Wonderful. Just out of curiosity for both you doctors, how has been the student feedback on the system? Because surely this is quite a development compared to what it was even maybe 5 years, 10 years ago, right? So how are the students reacting today to this kind of agile, flexible system?
They are enjoying it.
I can imagine.
Because
no books maybe anymore.
no books. See, there are a lot of changes happening of late. Number one, there's diverse faculties. I have faculty members who are from corporates, whom the regulatory bodies have given them the title of professors of practice. So we can have about 20% of our faculty strength from the corporates. A day comprising of maybe 4 or 5 hours of lecturing, in between if there's going to be a faculty from a corporate, he gives more vibrancy and energy to the students, talking about his experiences of the concept of theorem that he's going to teach to the students. So and today we have a LMS, learning management system application, which is available in the mobile of every student, which is of course endorsed by ACT also, which is artificial intelligence enabled. So the content is there, which he can browse through anytime and learn by himself. So the class is becoming more of a doubt clearing class, more of engaging by the students, interactive and informative. So it is more of enjoyment. It's gone are those days when someone was lecturing and the students were taking notes. But today it is more of discussions, deliberations, brainstorming. That's the time when they come out with innovative ideas. Today, my students have gone to an extent of writing articles, publishing in leading directories, even going to an extent of patenting. Now, what am I grooming? I'm not grooming my students to be employable. That's of course happening like a regular university. But I'm grooming entrepreneurs. They are commercializing their ideas. Okay, they are learning more in the classrooms or on how to lead a successful, happy life.
So as far as this online education system, with some of the data is concerned, if you see, after this NPTEL is introduced, after this Coursera have come out with a lot of new initiatives, with new topics and subject, and after this LinkedIn have come out with a lot of online learning ability courses. If you see the SRM, there is a drastic increase, there is an exponential increase in the number of students who have taken up these online courses. We, the SRM, we have one more online course called skill development courses, which is developed in-house, and as a professor was telling, it is put up into LMS, where the students started picking up. What is the measure of it? The measure of is that every year the number of students who are completing the online courses and getting certification, thanks to AICTE, which has come out with a model of approving certain courses with the AICTE approved courses, which is there available in SWAYAM platform and NPTEL and Coursera. So certain thing which help us the student to complete the course, and it is exponentially increasing. Now, is only the student is taking that? What we did in SRM is that we have introduced some pedagogy initiatives in our institution, where we put up in their appraisal system also that a teacher should be in a position to generate content on its own. So what we did was we have put the teachers first. So we asked our faculty members to complete at least 2 online courses on their own, and they have to take it up the exam. So whatever the exam fees that has been taken care, that has been borne by the university. So to encourage the faculty members, once they started doing these NPTEL courses, and ultimately that has been transformed to the student. Why we have made the faculty members to make as a compulsory or to brought them into an assessment system is that, if you take the LinkedIn study, which says that 74% of the teachers today, they were very hesitant to incorporate the new technological changes that is happening and transforming that to the student, because after 15 to 20 years they become very monotonous. They fix their subject, they fix their area, they become expertise in that, and to how to make the teachers to first faculty members to get into our stream. So we made this kind of online education system which push them, or which made them their student also to do that. Because of that, if you see our SRM university, the group as a whole, if you see the deliverable, but in the terms of placement, in the terms of the higher education enrollment that is happening, if you see there's a drastic increase. Probably this may be one of the byproduct of
Wonderful.
whatever
Thank you.
the
Thank you
the
for that
education
insight.
system.
Really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Prashasti, so now, of course, coming to you, we'd love to know how Coursera is working very hard behind the scenes to support all of this, everything that our doctors are talking about today. What are some of the offerings that really help in the skill development, making programs practical, very transferable ultimately, because what we're looking at is, of course, students in education system going straight into employment, right? So what is Coursera really doing to help this process? The role of micro-credentials, all the skill development programs. I'd love to hear that from you.
Sure. The regulators have stepped in to make online learning at par with the campus learning, right? In India, NCVET came in to accredit industry micro-credentials. So today, the industrial micro-credentials that are earned on Coursera are all NSQF approved, which is why universities can deploy skill enhancement credits to students for that. In the US, American Council of Education has approved Coursera courses. Similarly, in Europe, it's the European Credit Transfer System. This also enhances the student mobility internationally. In India, there's a huge endeavor of the Academic Bank of Credit to make sure that for-credit learning is recognized in any form that the students are doing, and similarly in the Western world as well. The impact that it has on institutions is it's very, very possible to take up what we call as quick dividend skills, the tooling, the productivity, the new technologies, and embed into the curriculums. So you don't have to wait for a 4-year board of studies exercise to be able to do that. You can do it practically every year, and you make sure that your students are learning what is realistic. Now, there's also a challenge in front of the faculty when it comes to curriculum design. How do you ensure which is the right kind of learning that should be embedded into the curriculums? That's where our role comes in. We have the possibility to work with about 300 plus universities and industries to ensure that the learning is job aligned, the learning is quality verified, and it's coming directly with certifications from the industry themselves. And this gives a large canvas for the institutions to pick up things directly and embed into the curriculum, and also award for credit. The acceptance of this has been very high as well. So I feel both the consumer, which is the learner, the disseminator, which is the educator, and the receiver, which is the industry, all three of them are aligned that the learning online, offline, irrelevant. It's important that the right skills are being taught. And if online and offline is combined together, you can actually exponentially enhance the quality of learning that happens in the classrooms.
Dr. Ram, so we've heard quite a lot from our other speakers about, of course, it's not only the training of the students, the acceptability of the students taking such programs, but the faculty as well, right? What are some of the steps that you see educational institutions taking to make sure that your faculty is geared up? Because at the end of the day, it's a top-down effect. So if your faculty is not ready for all the new technology, the new styles, methodologies in teaching, of course, the impact on the students isn't as much. So what are some of the steps that you see as being effective?
I would say post-corona, faculties have taken up the technology with true spirit. They have started adapting to it. There might have been some resistance before corona, but post-corona and during corona, faculties were immediately gearing up to the online teaching. And today, the regulatory bodies like UGC have clearly sketched out that in universities particularly, 60% offline and 40% online is permissible. Okay, yeah. So with that particular ground, there's been good amount of technology adaptation by the faculty members, and as rightly pointed out by my colleague Professor Kathiravan, we have started upskilling our faculty members using the technology. NPTEL courses was rightly pointed out by him for upskilling, and more of they have started siphoning out a lot of online content as I told you, into our LMS platform, which is called Quick Learn. And they have started teaching, interacting more with the students, engaging the students using the technology application.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you. So, of course, the common thread in all these topics we're talking about today is the role of technology, right? And a buzzword of 2024 seems to be Gen AI. We can't have any conversation about tech without talking about the impact of Gen AI. Doctor, how do you see this directly impacting your curriculum? And do you see, again, we're here to talk about the advancement of higher education. So do you see this going in a direction where Gen AI really guides the future and changes the landscape altogether?
The generative AI, the fundamental input for this generative AI is that input should be proper. See, it is going to put all the combination, it is going to give the output. But getting into the generativeness, in the sense that the input that the system need, especially for the education perspective. For this education perspective, this Gen AI is going to make an impact. There's sure that's for sure. We cannot avoid this Gen AI, but the problem is that any technology have to be blended with the psychology of learning or the biology of learning. In the sense that what today the education is needed, the industry says, whatever you are giving, they are not relevant to the industry. In the sense that whatever the boy or the system which is produced, with some skills, they are telling that is not enough, that is not fit into the system. So we have to train them again. So what this Gen AI may help is that if the Gen AI is deployed into the education system, it will become more on the personalized learning experience of a student. So as a student, he will be more personalized, he will be assessed personally, his behavioral or his skill sets will be analyzed personally, and the gap, whatever it is existing personally, may be provided solution with this Gen AI. And if these four combine, and if the boy is coming out of as a product of an university, probably the industries may get benefit more out of the system.
Yeah. So I completely agree with what Dr. Kathiravan just shared. AI as a disruptor is a very faculty or an institutional view. AI as an enabler is a very student view, because they are hooked on to generative AI tools for everything that they want to understand.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to all our panelists. Before we wrap up, I'd love to ask each of you just one key takeaway, because we're here today talking to a vast audience of people, a lot of educational institutions watching this program as well. So what is one key takeaway that you'd like to leave our viewers with when it comes to advancing higher level education in India? Dr. Ram?
So we have to change with the dynamics that's happening in the corporate world and the situations that's demanding for more startups and entrepreneurs. Yes. So accordingly, tune our teaching pedagogy in such a way that we give them happy life.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah, the takeaway is that the student and the stakeholders should understand the dynamic of the market, what is happening. Yes. Accordingly, they should be in a position to skill, reskill, review the skill, and if the still gap exists, they should again fill the skill.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Prashasti?
What I understand from the educators who are on the panel with me today is learning is lifelong, and both faculty and learners are experiencing a very different world today. And this collaborative form of learning is actually delivering what the best learning outcomes can be. And it's delivering it for credit.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you all for being on ET Studios. It's been such a pleasure to get all these insights from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.